last surge of 2023 in the books with Scott Flanigan from Squad4, and he showed us how to spice up those deal qualifications. Check out that emoji game, guys. We also heard from the Supered team and all of those amazing gifts that Supered Santa Steve gave to us for the holidays. Thanks, Santa. And we talked about what 2024 is going to look like for Supered and let you help us figure that out since we're building for you. Let's check out the recording of the surge together now. Scott, thank you so much for joining us from Squad4. I'm going to make you the spotlight. And would you share a little bit about yourself and what you're doing here today?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. D'Ana, Matt, thank you for having me on here. You guys are killing it. Obviously, awesome tools, awesome platform, bringing knowledge and all these fancy things right into the flow of work for more HubSpot users. My name's Scott Flanigan. We have a really small organization. We're a HubSpot partner. Lauren is my counterpart here on the call today, and we help small, medium-sized B2B tech and professional services companies adopt HubSpot. So a lot of times that's just getting away from their sticky notes, spreadsheets, and carrier pigeons. Other times it's getting off of legacy platforms and using really fancy tools and a lean tech stack to do more with less. So I'm excited to be here today. D'Ana shared let's do this. It's kind of late. I know it's right before the holidays, so thanks so much for taking some time. I know we're all juggling, and I wanted to share and walk through just really one use case for deal qualification and how we are helping HubSpot users adopt with Supered. Matt, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I've spent some time with Scott, as we call him. We all hear is early adopter of Supered. Even when I say March, I mean like as we're writing the lines of code. He has probably some of the best, most innovative uses of cards that I have seen. And I would call him a Supered card expert. And so even if he doesn't show you here, he's going to do things that he probably doesn't talk about that you should stop him in the middle and ask questions about. So I just want to get Scott is I love how he's thinking about it, and he's got he's doing things that using the tool in ways I didn't even think about. So I just want to say that as
well. Thank you, Matt. Was he cutting out just a little bit? I want to make sure it's not just my audio. Okay.
It was a little bit.
Okay. Every time I think you're on mute. Every time I talk to Matt, I learn something. Steve, you're great. Just a little bit of background, right? I've talked to Matt and met everyone at Inbound, but I've had a weird career, right? I played way too many video games as a kid. My parents didn't enjoy that, but learned so much about user interface, how to build processes, how to communicate, and how to do that visually and through systems. I went to school for English, so I became a technical writer, and then I flowed through kind of project management, marketing, development, web design. So it's been like across a whole number of teams, and really all of those tools. Supered is an amazing tool because it brings the ability to take knowledge and adoption and training from all of those different areas and just make it easily accessible for teams.
That's great. That's awesome.
English majors, yeah.
Yeah.
And yes, video games.
Video games. We call that early adoption of user interface use.
From a very young age. Yeah.
From a very young age. Absolutely. So how is Squad4 taking all of these awesome things that you're talking about and turning them into tools and resources that you're using for your clients?
Yeah. So like the biggest part of often with go-to-market teams, like coming into a new organization or consolidating, HubSpot, I'll take a step back. HubSpot is an awesome, I shouldn't say enablement. Ryan, I know like you've heard this, but an empowerment tool, right? To bring all of these pieces together and really just make sure that training and adoption in part is how we build and codify how we're engaging with customers into our system. So that folks can come in, know what they need to achieve, be prompted visually to do that work in the flow of work, rather than take lots and lots of time to have to come up to speed or have a lack of awareness if they're following a process the way they need to. Matt preaches it. Awesome, right? Like there's a spectrum of these things for RevOps. Like if you don't have goals and a strategy, how do you implement a meaningful process? If it's not adopted, that's the biggest like linchpin and problem point. Like you don't get good data out of that. If no one's following a process, then you can't get any confidence. So taking these and taking like all of the information, knowledge, and processes, and trying to use Supered to say, hey, here are quick and easy links for all of those tools that every customer or every team member at a company needs. And so there's just so many little pieces like that. It's like it's cat herding for our CRM and our internal processes.
I like that.
Right, because everyone at an organization, in order to align on goals, wants to know like, hey, what are the personas? Who are what are the target accounts we're going after? What makes a good fit? How do we qualify these things? Where can I find this information? And so, yeah, we won't get into all of it, but there's easy places where we can drop cards for hot links. So HubSpot more and more becomes that central location for all of these tools and resources.
That's great. And are you finding that your team is really thinking about what that end user is looking for a lot more now that they're surfacing that right in front of them? So rather than just, sharing the link to a knowledge base, are they thinking more of, okay, my end user is right here reviewing this content, like what am I serving them?
The card analytics are super helpful. And then right with tools like this that make it really easy for folks to click a link, don't even have to change pane. There's another HubSpot partner in the ecosystem, Harris Kenny, who has like, he's got a great phrase and I'm spacing it at the moment now that I name dropped. Right, but it's single pane. There's no context shift. You don't have to go dig through the old dusty closet for like, what are my processes or where is that resource? So it really shines a light on where are the gaps and what people like, what our teammates need in order to be successful. Like, I don't know where that is. We should be able to insert a card or a snippet or something right where it is in the flow, in the meaning of action, right? Process rules and being able to drop these cards right onto our records is huge.
Yeah, that's a great way to stop that knowledge gap and just completely create that bridge for, end user and back end admin. So you're creating an awareness of something that is absolutely a huge hole to be filled so that you don't have people questioning where they're supposed to go to find information. I love that. And how are you taking that and bringing that into the deal qualification process?
Yeah, so that's just one example of it, because the largest friction and the things I think that stop adoption are really early on. Where do I find the resources and tools? Like how do I get the one-on-one time or consume the information in whatever format works best for the end user? If that some people want to read, some people want to look at graphics, some people want to like watch YouTube videos. And so this really gives us multimedia format tools to say, hey, here's all the links you might want. And so, yeah, just thinking through that with the core actions. I spent more of my time early in my career kind of like in marketing and marketing ops. And it's funny because I'll get on my soapbox now and be like, that's the last of the three priorities we should be going for. Like a healthy revenue engine starts with sales, then it goes to service for happy customers and that handoff. Both of those are supported, of course, by marketing skills, but marketing is, once you've got a solid, sales effort and service, marketing is easy. You have conversations with your customers, you're having one-on-one, feedback and engagement.
Yeah. And Matt raised his hand, but I just want to have one point. Marketing's the fun part. So Matt?
Scott's been on a lot of calls with me. We've done lots of podcasts that we've never released. We will eventually. Scott, and you know one thing, if I'm saying, I hear lots of talking. Show me the goods, baby. Let me see some of this crap. What do you? Well, yeah, I just like that's what I want to see. There's no point.
Love it. All right.
Just do it. Just do it.
Just do it.
Nike. I don't know who came up with that.
Let's get to it. All right.
All right.
Scott, show us the goods.
All right. Let's just walk through here an example of bringing qualification in. So a lot of organizations struggle with streamlining deal qualification. I'll skip over this part. I just wanted to say thank you so much, D'Ana and team, because I got to show my little brothers this superhero image, and one of them said I look like discount Aquaman. And then the other one was like, that's awesome. So I don't know if it's that or if I look like me and Zac Efron hooked up in a lightning storm, but like, yeah, that's awesome.
That's great.
So
that's awesome.
Okay. Let's just jump right in. So I've got a demo experience here, right? I'll take a step back. So deal qualification, it doesn't really matter what you use, as so long as you're not using BANT. That is, in my opinion, the worst thing to happen to so many sales teams. Budget, authority, need, timeline. You know it. It's when team members often ask those questions, it's so much about me. Are you, as the prospect, fitting my sales needs? And so I'll just get on that soapbox and say BANT is universally problem causing. It's fine at the lead stage. Once you get into an opportunity, it does nothing for you to help you really understand the challenges, the emotional pain, the buying triggers, and helping your prospect or potential customer understand those. So what we're going to showcase here is Winning by Design's SPICED deal qualification framework. If you're not familiar with it, it's just an acronym that walks you through a different set of type of questions. Don't ask these straightforward. Right, but it is, and I should have had just a card pulled up for it in this demo experience, but it's situation, what's going on with the prospect, like the goods, the bads, what's getting in your way, pain, how is this, stopping your team or preventing you from achieving your goals or you doing what you need to, impact. So if we could provide a solution, how much value is that? What is it going to do to change your inner working? Critical event, right? Is there anything driving this need, or are we just kind of exploring? And then decision, the decision makers, what the process is. So it creates an acronym that is fairly simple to walk through, but it paints a really colorful picture as opposed to just black and white. Hey, are you here? Do we have a checkbox? Like, it's about having a conversation, because at the end of the day, sales is just about people, relationships, and trust. And so what we want to do is, right, that is often much more of a sales coaching and enablement piece. But from like a RevOps or what we build into a CRM, there are really easy ways to help coach and guide and take that kind of qualitative data and turn it into an easy process that we can then make quantitative decisions based on. Hey, Matt.
I love that. Go ahead, Matt.
I love raising my hand. You have the best emojis I've ever seen. Are those icons in Supered, or are those built into HubSpot, or are they both?
Most of these are just built into HubSpot, and it's a dangerous game with emojis. There's a Goldilocks zone for how many is too many. But for deal stages, for lead statuses, for like customer like type on companies, like deal types, we process images 60,000 times faster than the written word or something crazy like that. And 2/3 of us plus are visual learners. So it helps cut through the noise, less text, more cognitive load space throughout the day.
I love that. Are you utilizing emojis in your deal qualifications?
So yes, I'll jump into that. So I just wanted to show you. So here is an example lead pipeline in one of our demo portals. I've got a couple here, right? HubSpot does a phenomenal job giving us the tools to customize these cards to make it easy to manage. And this is what this looks like currently, right? We can customize it. This does not have Supered implemented, or it's not installed right now. So I'll just log in, and then we can start seeing what our HubSpot starts to look like. I should have done this. Actually, I should log out. Let me show you this real quick. So, okay, if I log into or dial into this specific deal, you see a default HubSpot, right? HubSpot deal. Super helpful. I'm probably just telling everyone what you already know using Supered. Like, process rules are incredible, and the definitions are so awesome to reinforce adoption. We already listened to that video, some of us multiple times. So if I log in now, right, I'm able to start really visually telling all of our users what they need to fill out. Because right here, I still have to go dig through groups of fields and potentially, fill things out. Only HubSpot does a great job giving us required fields. So as I move deals through our pipeline, sure, I'm going to get prompted to fill that in. All of us as CRM admins and users like know that. But if in the moment I have to fill this information in, then I'm not doing it, as I'm qualifying and talking through a deal. So when Supered's installed, of course, if you're on the top tier of Supered, you really start getting, let's see, right, all the things you need to really build out anything you want on every deal record to visually prompt a user to go fill things in. I follow a little bit different practice with some workflows, and we do like trying to use like a microservice architecture for how we like build workflows. Like workflows should do little things. I see so many like monolith workflows that end up causing a lot of clutter, but a lot of fields on deal records can be populated for us based on information that we already have on other records. I'll stop real quick and then I'll dive into just the SPICED qualification. But obviously we've got a bunch of process rules here that are telling us what's going on. We're missing important information on this record.
Yeah, there's a lot of love for your Polar Express samples in there. I'm loving all the icons and how it's just a quick read of exactly what the error is. You can go, okay, oh nope, there's a don't do the symbol. What's broken here? Where do I need to go fix it? And that quick reference to be able to just go make it up and change it.
Because we'll just jump in and focus on SPICED, but there's so many pieces to a deal that you want to qualify, right?
Yeah.
Do I have a next step? Do I have a description? So we'll just start filling a few of these things in. Hey,
Scott, what I have not done the experience or the way you just did that. And I may redo my entire demo based on what I just saw, is feeling like having a complicated SPICED metrics, and you could experience, and it was really well built out. Like you had great explanations. It had emojis to communicate, but then putting process rules in my face, giving me a checklist of what to do is so much easy. Like I felt like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. I loved it. I just loved the whole thing. It's all much for me to respond out loud to you.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. The next step we're trying to take is like, how do we build a very simple training program beyond just the HubSpot basics, which we roll out to our new customers, right? And give them the tools to provide training through tasks within HubSpot. But how do we do that specifically for like a particular deal framework so that someone could go enroll themselves in, like, give me the refresher course of tasks on this corporate this pipeline for new business or this renewals pipeline, and try to boil that down as simply as possible. That way it's easy to manage and update. But yeah, this makes it so anyone can come in, and the act of taking action against a sample deal is actually, we're already learning and doing this. It's not disingenuous. We skip the whole like preparation and worry stage. Because if I'm worried about the work that's ahead of me, I'm not focused on the work that's in front of me.
That's a great statement.
Yeah, I love those little ones. So like as we start filling little information in our portal, right? We can do that. Next steps, and then we'll jump into SPICED. We'll just go ahead and start adding a few pieces, and I'm going to skip over this, but we'll add a contact. And of course, you already know this, but as I'm filling all this in, right, we see the process rules update and my warnings are all going away. Okay, this deal is looking better and better. We're getting the information we want out of it. A lot of this stuff happens really early on in our first stage of a deal pipeline. Often we're waiting for a full like exploration or discovery meeting. That's really where SPICED comes in. And so, right, a real simple way to do this is to just build like stoplight scoring metrics for each of our qualification criteria. So what we've done is we've got a workbook for this that you can go download on our website, or I'm happy to share a copy with you. But to get started, like simplest form, we just have stoplights red through green for the criteria for each of situation, pain, impact, critical event. And so we have this process rule at the top that tells us, number one, do we have a poor SPICED score? We have a scoring property that's going to add up the score and metrics from each of our criteria. So this will show up if we have a poor score, or if anything is a red light. Because if we have a red light at any one of these criteria points, we should probably stop and think about what makes this a good deal, or if it's a bad fit, or let's talk about the extenuating circumstances. So if I start going through and populating these, right, we'll say there's great situation, there's real pain, our service has low impact, we can't find a specific event, unfortunately. Maybe that doesn't disqualify this deal, but it definitely impacts potentially our timeline. So all of these are gut feelings, and we could, of course, tweak and edit, the individual descriptions within here. But we've taken kind of this stoplight approach and applied a simple scoring system to it, right? And so we've got, check that process rule. We've got a card, for instance, in HubSpot that we're within Supered that we can put next to our qualification or SPICED framework. And so if, right, it just walks through the basics. What is SPICED? Here's some helpful links. What do each of the criteria points mean? How are we taking the options that folks select within these and translating that into points? And overall, what does a good score mean versus okay versus poor or bad? And we can even drop, right, as you know, here's an image from Winning by Design right here. Don't go anywhere else. Watch the image if you don't quite know how we're or watch the video if you don't know how to implement this or how to start having conversations.
Yep. Keeping those users right where they need to be so they can go fix all of the orange and red and yellow and get it all green.
Mm-hmm. And then put some fun GIFs or emojis in here, right, to tell them they're doing a great job. Let's do that visual reinforcement. So this is one part. If I refresh my screen, we've used a scoring field to set this, and so the SPICE score takes a few seconds to update, but this then translates all of these drop down select qualitative options and drops it into a quantitative number that we can say, okay, that's an 8. So that's one score that we can provide. Of course, there are like open text descriptions that are incredibly helpful if when we're working with other team members or if we want to be able to provide a snapshot. So, right, try to take the walk, jog, run approach. Let's give folks a simple, easy way to get started with a framework like this, and then we can add complexity to it as it makes sense, or whether that sits in front of them in their process or behind the scenes. So we have an open field for if you have a red option in here, let's just talk and share why you think this is still a helpful, right? Why this is still a good fit deal, or why we should move forward, even if there's something that doesn't quite fit. And so it gives you a place to add any notes or details there. If you're right, this is step one, just to kind of to tease this. The next step is we could take this SPICED score and make that just one criteria or element in a larger deal scoring framework. So if there are decision makers, executive sponsors, frequency, or deal amount, there's all kinds of criteria we may want to build in and rate or weight differently within a different calculation field. So we could use this as just one element, right, within a larger scoring field. Also, if you're using video recording tools like Avoma, you can take and build templates that then, right, that take situation, pain, look for those trigger words and points and drop contextual information into a text field that is for situation, pain, impact, and consolidate some of that for you. Their tools have gotten so much better over the past year with all of the GPT improvements, of course. So there's lots of cool stuff you can do with those that obviously, like, it's iterative value after the first one. The most important part is giving folks the tools and visual cues to understand the process and have better conversations and grow themselves.
That's great. I love that it all rolls up and the user doesn't have to think about what the impact of that change means. It's right there in front of them. It's served no matter how they change the score, if it goes up or if it goes down. That's a great way to make sure that adoption is happening and that deals are moving forward and that they're moving forward in a structured manner where you can actually learn something from them, whether they close or not. So that's great.
Yeah, and just improving the conversations you have about deals, because that's the first step at improving the process, making people feel more, more effective and confident in their conversations.
That's awesome. Does anyone have any questions for Scott? I know he walked through a lot and we've seen some amazing emoji use here. I would love to get anyone's take on what's going on and how they think they're going to start utilizing some of these amazing tips and tricks. I did share the Squad4 SPICED deal qualification workbook in the chat. If you are looking for that, definitely take a look at it. It's pretty cool. Goes into a little more details of, hows and whys, but it's a great read.
The last point I'll just say on a couple of things is different organizations, different folks want to use the platform differently. And I think that's a net benefit, right? Give your super users the ability to experiment, to use it in different ways. So some organizations, right, want to build tasks in, like, here's a nice reminder if we're ever missing a primary contact on a deal, you can build them into tasks. You can also just use the notifications as kind of your pull reminders rather than a push notification type behavior. So either of these work. And then the other part is, right, we have fields on the side. Let's give folks an easy way to populate all of those at once and walk them through. So of course, tools like playbooks allow us to build an entire playbook that walks through and populates these, or at least primes part of a conversation.
Love that.
Yeah.
Spicy.
Tony. Yeah.
Thanks, Scott. It's brilliant. I love a lot of it, but I'm a split personality these days. The HubSpotter, the RevOps person, the sales manager, the admin side of me just gets really excited about this, almost as excited as LJ is getting about it. The salesperson in me is squirming and itching and trying to get away from all of this information and process and everything else. Is there a point at which you mentioned the different use cases, right? Or do you have a way of judging you said the Goldilocks thing earlier with the emojis. Do you have a way of judging how much is too much for a specific team, or is that like a market thing? Is that a product thing or a sector thing, or do you push this level to everyone? Do you hold it back for some? Can you just talk to that for me? That would be really useful.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're right. There are different stages. Often, well, I think one of the challenges, especially in B2B tech, is oftentimes organizations think they're going to bring in a junior resource to fulfill one of the most abstract roles in the sales motion. And so things like this really help those folks that are early on in a sales pipeline, put structure behind it for more senior, sales folks or people sometimes, yeah, this is too much friction. So we don't necessarily have to require all of it. But that's a conversation kind of what is the sales motion and what do you want to be capturing? Right. We don't have to implement all these process rules. This could just sit here to say, okay, it's a coaching tool. If we're having a challenge, or we seem to be missing having deals pushed, those types of things. That's what I've seen. And so, yeah, we're not entirely focused on sales coaching, but it's really making sure, like you said, that there's a conversation both between the admin folks and who's implementing with sales. What is the right amount of friction, and when and where, and is this overall providing value? Because this is a nice training tool, and experts who've been selling for decades are probably doing this effectively as just muscle memory and instinctual. They don't need this. So it's one example for those types of organizations. I think that this is valuable early in the pipeline. We can also just use that process rule to say, hey, only show this during the first 2 stages of our deal pipeline, and that way they're just primers. Once I move past it, for those sales reps that are very seasoned, it's not even in your way, but it's a good visual cue and reminder. The core thing with some of these pieces, I've got a notification for an action plan up here at the top, and then a number of other details, is it's not just for the salesperson or the sales manager. One of the biggest things that we've seen with our customers is by making sure that that deal records are more full of information, service is able to go back, better understand what the initial details or why a company made a decision, and it informs how they onboard and provide success for that customer.
Excellent. Really useful. Yeah, thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
We've got Steve has a question. He wants to know, it's not Spiced related, but can you walk through your top icons?
My top emojis?
Before you go, may I respond to Tony?
Absolutely.
Let me do it. Let me make sure I understood the question, Tony. I have a question in response to what is too much, especially for salespeople that don't like to follow process? My experience, and just as a point, I think said this is, I have this just do it mentality. It is, I will come out and say, here's the new expectation. If you don't like it, tell me and we can change it. But if you don't like it and don't do it, you failed in the best and most lovingly possible. And so it actually gives them agency, and that allows you to have a great conversation. So create an ability to have conflict. And I find what often we do is we slowly try to add things. Salespeople hate that. Start with a lot, and then you can take away, and then you look like a hero. If you start with a little and slowly add, I actually find that to be less useful, just as a point.
No, that's an excellent point. And I heard that in Scott's answer to an extent, from the perspective of the salesperson's relative sophistication as well. I think, even BANT, dare I say it, even BANT has a place when you're just rocked up out of sales school and you're in your first gig, and we all made the mistake of talking to the person who didn't have any money. Certainly the one who couldn't make the decision, definitely the one who didn't need the thing that we wanted, and there's only this time as well. That goes away. That level goes away really quickly. You burn your fingers on that a couple of times, and you don't make that mistake again. It's why the car salesperson walks away from me usually when I rock out with my hat and so on. But Matt, I think this is the key piece here, is the agency. We've got a fight on. We've got a fix for it as well at the minute, but we've got a fight on because the client wants a level of reporting around their meetings that's so high. We've having to build a custom object for meetings to include all the stuff that they want to measure. The sales team hate creating the custom object record because it's got so much information in it. And Supered is going to help us with that, and as it does with our adoption and so on and so on. But there's sort of, I'm interested in this, the dichotomy between its value and its friction. That was a really good way of putting it, I think. And yeah, I think the salesperson's sophistication is a good piece, but I also have a slightly different approach. If you hit target, for me, Matt, if you hit target, you can do what you want. If you don't hit target, you have to do it the way that I'm telling you to do it. And that's always worked for me, because even to the point where you learn enough by doing it the way I want you to do it, that you can start to hit target and not have to do it in full, not have to do the entire rigmarole, not have to do every single spot, but you're hitting target. So as long as I'm being sensible about your targets, and your targets are growing, the expectation is growing with your increasing sophistication, that seems to work quite well. But it's great, a great addition. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate that as well.
That's great.
And this is a team sport. So yeah, I love a couple of Matt's points, right? Number one, it's like baby steps don't work. We need to hit the right amount of friction early on to have those healthy conversations, because that's really what it does. It forces the point so that we can find the right level or amount of work that goes into it. Right. But also, it's not death by 1,000 cuts. It's not, oh, we're making another change next month. Okay. No. We took this. Now we're going to move on. And then we're going to collect not only data in everyone's process, but also feedback over a period of time, because we can't stop this. Like, we need to have another conversation about it next quarter. What's working, what's not, where is this getting in our way? If we're not spending time on it, it's, everything is a verb. We need to be focused on continuous improvement.
For sure.
Steve, I know you asked, so the rules at the top.
These guys, these icons up at the top.
Oh, those. Okay. Yeah. So the core, I'll just keep this really short, right? The core pieces that we want to typically build in across the top is we've found one of the coolest ways that Supered saves time and makes things easy is by allowing us to provide like jump lists to folks. I don't have to click 6 times in HubSpot. It's still easier than other platforms in many ways. But like from a sales perspective, what do I want to go visit, right? I have all of our goals and our core resources at the top. Like I have a quick link to a number of different pipelines, my dashboards, information about CRM personas and those. So we like to build a couple of cards to give like an overview for each of the core go-to-market departments. Marketing, sales, and service are really easy hooks. For any of you who are actively testing out some of the new betas, we'll have to figure out if this makes sense with the new navigation that may or may not be coming out. But those across the top are a couple. We try to reserve the lightning bolt, not just for Supered, but for automations. So this is just a simple card that says, hey, when you see a lightning bolt, typically this means we're going to trigger an automation. So if I set something based on a field level option, maybe that runs a workflow and then clears that field or does some things like that to make process really easy. And then a company card in the top right is the one other that we tend to want to put in. And that way we have one easy place where we can link out to core values, their mission statement, their org chart, right? Whatever core documentation makes sense for the whole company. And that way, right, documents, visual diagrams, that way everyone can go look at like, what does our go-to-market engine look like? Whether that's in a Lucid chart or a diagram somewhere, just make data and information highly visible and easy for everyone to find. Because if everyone can see it and point at something on a piece of paper and say, that's where the problem is, like it's much easier to solve and have valuable conversations about specifics. RevOps in my mind it's not strategy, it's not implementation, it's literally the combination of both of those things, right? Nothing matters if the tires aren't, the rubber's not meeting the road.
Yeah, I think you just blew everybody's mind with the company card because I didn't even see it up there. I guess I was immune to it for a moment. And then when you clicked it, everyone was like, whoa, that's a great idea. So there you go, blowing everybody's mind. That's awesome. We did have a couple questions that came in. I just want to make sure. Feedback. Oh, Lauren said that some feedback we've gotten from clients is that SPICED has helped them inform conversations beyond the sales process. There's really 2 benefits. SDRs can easily identify the most promising deals and AEs are better equipped for new customer conversations. So yeah, that's a great statement. And Chris said, how do you challenge the other way? In Tony's case, where the management asking for new levels of reporting just because they know it might be possible.
Ooh, can you repeat that one? What was that?
How do you challenge the other way? So in Tony's case, where management is asking for new levels of reporting just because they know it might be possible.
That's a loaded question. Yeah. So where do we push back? How is it translating? What is the impact going to be? Kind of just using SPICED again up the chain, right? What is the result we're trying to get out of it? How is this going to impact our metrics? I don't know if we have a specific, or Matt.
Let's go, Matt.
I have a question, so you can keep answering. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. So, I don't know how to answer that one. So,
what was the question?
I've got.
How do you? Go ahead.
I've got what I used at HubSpot. So when I was a CAM, this happened a lot where people would go down the tunnel of, oh, HubSpot can do all these different things and we want to do everything just because we have that feature. And the way I got around it a lot was just asking, what impact do you want this tool to have, or what impact do you want this feature to have, and how are you going to use it? So instead of like, oh, custom reporting is cool, we want to custom report everything, or the more common one is, hey, let's automate everything. I'd flip the question back of what is the end result you're trying to get via that automation? And then me and the partner would work together on, okay, this is how we're going to do it on and why, not just like we're going to do it because it's there, but like what result are you getting? And that's why we're going to go build it. So not sure if that helps, but that's how I got around it, is flipping the script to try to figure out what's the desired end state and does the feature you're requesting us to build actually meet that end state.
Yeah, more
Why?
fully understand what the why.
And
Because
make them explain it to you, because maybe they don't actually have a use case and they just think it's cool and it's not going to impact anything.
For sure.
and automation's a double-edged sword. It's nice to remove the tactical actions, but for a lot of people, like you can give them ChatGPT or these AI tools, and without like the hands-on experience over years of using those, they don't know how to use it. If we automate the process right out, folks aren't thinking about the individual actions we have to take to get to a meaningful conclusion.
I have a question.
Let's do it. What's your question?
You put I have a very specific thought. Now I know what the question was, is you just ask the question, what do you need to answer daily, weekly, monthly? And then you build reports to do those. And if it's not on there, then you don't build it and tell them they're done. So I'd say, but here next is, how else? So this is about using cards in Supered, using Supered cards in HubSpot. How are you using it in any other platform yet? Period.
Yes. So the short of it, I think I cut all of it. I was reading the chat. So using Supered in other platforms, you asked.
Correct.
Yep. So we've got it lightweight. We've got a couple of things we're using in Gmail. We've also integrated it a little bit into ClickUp to link back to, key pieces. So we have, a number of things in project management tools that refine how we're able to do repetitive tasks and make sure we check all the boxes with implementation. But those are the two core use cases so far.
Are there any?
So,
oh, sorry.
Yeah, can you show us? And what I heard was, make sure I clarify this. This is delivery focused, meaning with client end states. What I just heard was you have external. What I just heard is you have internal uses of Supered that you use internally, and that is a different use case, which is probably a whole nother time what we spend on how do I use it internally as like an intranet. Period. I just that's what I heard.
Yep. No, cool. I jumped to our internal uses. No, we haven't really gotten into using this in other platforms yet. Right. BI tools, other enablement tools.
Sounds like a 2024 goal.
It is. Getting folks used to it and making sure that we have like the integration on and you're authenticated so that we get product feature like release announcements and the short 1 or 2 minute video. Here's our CRM release notes. Like here's what we're doing this during this sprint or what we've launched for you. Go click into these cards and here's where you can find more information. Most of it's still mostly in HubSpot.
Awesome. Do we have any other final questions for Scott before I let you turn the super team into your knowledge base? Awesome. Thank you, Scott. I loved seeing it, and your emoji game. Loving it. Loving it.
It's a love-hate thing. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me today before the holidays. Hope everyone has an awesome break and here a sprint towards the end of the year, if not a little break.
Absolutely. All right. So does anyone have any questions for our lovely product team and our lovely super team that is here? I know there's been some tease of some new features possibly coming out, maybe.
Dan, rather than doing questions, may I just tell people what's going to happen and they can ask questions about that?
You take all the fun out of it, Matt. Fine. You can tell everybody.
Okay. I would prefer to do it that way, and then people can respond and tell me if they want something different. If that's possible. Let me, oh gosh, I just wrote these in a different place, and I will talk about them out loud. I will not be sharing my screen, although I love sharing screens. Scott, your spotlight's weird. So just as a point, you're making lots of faces. And so I said we keep Scott. No, I'm going to keep Scott. I'm going to see his reaction live to all of these things. So Scott, just know you are, Yeah.
You are on Spotlight.
Yeah, I like this a lot. So first thing that's coming out. And so all these are coming out, if you would, for Christmas. They're released, meaning they're being pushed or they're already existing released, or they're being released Friday, like today, tomorrow, and all ready for Christmas. Call it Santa Steve, if you would, things you're gonna get. Number one, updates are in packages. Now, what does that mean? That means that you can now have, hey, Spiced is ready. You can preload packages with announcements that you're doing, or every time you come to an engagement, which is, so you just another thing you're probably difficult to do. Now you have it. So, hey, think about when you're doing a HubSpot onboarding. Hey, welcome. You can do a full welcome. Hey, I'm welcome here. Here's the process it's going to work. Here's a walkthrough. You could have that pre-done, that you just have to push a button and now send, and you can load as many as you'd like. It's pretty darn cool. Number two, they're now tags and updates. So you now, the way you are being these into a package and you see them as you're putting tags, that is now not just, so you can now organize your updates in a common place. Number three, inside process rules are now every external activity. So we now can read SMS, LinkedIn, emails as part of process rules. So if you have processed something like, did you write this thing? Did you send it? It can be the subject line, it can be the body, it can be the response. Everything on that object is now searchable and can now be put into a process rule for you to better customize and reflect processes. I love Scott. You just like such on spot. It's just funny.
It shows on my Mac, so I could give you a response.
Yeah. I want my emoji responses. That's what I really want from all these. Package HTML. So what before, if you had packages, they were halfway ugly, even internally, or if you wanted to give them externally, because and you had to use Markdown. This is now full. It's essentially a full card. You can put your videos, you can put anything in it, so that you can now teach your internal teams, or if you want to make those public to external, they're going to look pretty as well, just like anything else. So now those are fully beautiful. You can, if you go into the search now, these are getting package specific. If you go into the search package builder, used to, you'd have to do a drop down and search it. You can now just search workflow and it will come up. It's a little UI enhancement. And the biggest one that's upcoming for Christmas is record customization. So you can take everything that you've built on the left side, in the middle, every overview, every tab, every organization, and any right side card, like the way you want it to be. You can now copy that and push that as well. So your entire, and this works on any record type or object, contacts, companies, tickets, anywhere.
I saw the light bulb moment. I saw the light bulb moment when you said it, whether you know you reacted or not.
Yeah, the example is, say I had a SPICE framework and I had a certain like I had a specific way I wanted things to be ordered. Rather than spending the time it takes to create those, you never have to do it again. So that's pretty darn awesome, and saves even that extra like 30 minutes it would take, or maybe an hour, because sometimes you're doing this across. Now you can now save that time. Okay, so those are the things upcoming on Christmas, like coming out. And so I just open up to questions about anything I mentioned, and are there any hopes on things that Santa didn't bring, that you said, I've been really nice and I really want you to bring this thing, and I have not been naughty?
I love it.
That's open up to everybody.
Christmas
Those are awesome. Steve mentioned mirrored cards at one point, and I was
drooling. Upcoming that is planned is card mirroring is coming out. Probably I don't have a date on it, but it could be as early as January. And mirroring content is the ability to host. So think you can now have a parent object. Think of what you have, your account, and you can push content, and it will be the same and auto update for every client you were hosting it for. So it is your ability to now create, and even you could create content people are subscribing to, right? And it would always be updated, always done. And if they don't use you, you can actually remove that content from their instance.
Content as a
Early
service,
January.
HubSpot partners.
Yeah. So it's a mirroring content probably reflects something that we're doing next, which is this idea of learning paths. So if you were to say, what's the one thing missing? for this to be universally applicable to all, not only just all to every HubSpot user, but to any user in any platform, it would be the ability to consolidate and to then train on a specific path, put them in an order, and then validate that it has occurred. That functionality is coming out after mirroring. That is the next functionality that we're going towards, and it will transform, like it will truly destroy every LMS, in my opinion. Like there is no, because now you can microserve content, you can embed in the flow of work, you can as a partner be able to mirror your content, and you can serve and create intimate training that's both on platform and off platform, and validate that has occurred through doing. And we're putting it all together, and it's going to change the world, in my opinion. It's going to change the way we work long term.
That was one of the things I was most excited about with you and Brian Kreutz early on, right? Being able to deploy tasks, deploy videos, all the training. There's the social contract that they saw it, they viewed it, they changed a record and updated themselves, whether that's on a contact object
that's
or
like
custom.
V2, V3 is the ability to verify that a specific action inside HubSpot has occurred. Like just at the beginning, it's coming out. The verification is like a knowledge check or some test or quiz at the end. What like the long-term dream is the ability to even do validation of specific data sets that you've created, right? So that's what we're marching towards as we, which will make this universally, it allows partners to create more intellectual property, and it allows end user client companies to better reflect their customized instance so they can onboard, everboard, upskill, reskill, and do remedial training in the same platform, on any platform. Okay. The other thing that's coming is in there. Oh, the other thing that's coming, these are all near-term things. The other thing that's coming is we're doing a full strong is we're doing an upgrade to the UI for cards and for Chrome extensions. You're like, well, what can you do? You'll just have to see it, and I can tell you everything's better. And it's coming, and you'll see that come early January-ish. You'll see this stuff. You'll just log in and you'll be like, holy crap, this looks all better. It's like, yes. So things that you could expect is we're re-engineering the Chrome extension on the right side so that you, because we're trying to get more real estate, because we'll be adding more stuff for a more Chrome extension first experience. So you'll see what that means when that comes. So also in the user, like how invites are done, how things are organized, it'll just be a more seamless experience as we get ready to go to market with our partners for end user first experiences. So that's what you probably should like. We now have lots of like we're about to just go. We're going to go after end users, so we're getting ready for that. Merry Christmas.
Awesome.
See you, Tony.
Love it. Exciting.
Good. So there's what's happening, what's coming. Any questions?
Just another Merry Christmas coming up. I appreciate all of the advancements that's coming into Supered, because I came in thinking it was amazing, and it just gets better literally every single day since I've joined, and I'm right there with everybody excited about all of these updates. So thank you, Santa Steve and Santa Dave. Appreciate that. I want to see you all in the new year. So I'm going to go ahead and put the link for the Surge registration. That will get you on the list to make sure that anytime we're having a Surge event, you are notified right away. And we'll get those on your calendar so that you can see and hear all of these amazing things firsthand as they're coming out, because literally some of those things were just talked about yesterday, and now they're here and they exist. So I'm very excited for everyone to join us coming in the new year, twice a month. We'll be keeping it nice and consistent, and I love it. Any final thoughts, Matt? I see you're ready to talk.
Yeah, final thought. Everybody, before we leave out, please ask for the what is the one thing you wish you could do with Supered that you can't do right now that would change your life? And if there's nothing, you don't have to write anything, but what is that one thing? And this is your time to influence what occurs.
Ooh, I love it.
There goes Lynn. Yeah,
of course, our team is the first one with requests and wishes. I want to hear it. I'll stay on and let you answer, so don't feel like you have to miss out and getting your request in. Oh, connect a custom HubSpot GPT to card writing editor features. Nice. Everyone needs a HubSpot. Oh, Notion integration. I want to see some community features.
What does that mean?
More interaction within, between. Love it. What else you guys got? You got 1 more minute. Oh, super TikTok. Of course, our team wants to see more content.
I'm so excited by quizzes, learning tools, and checklists, right?
Yeah. I mean, get trained and use right in the same place. Yes, please. I love it. I'm excited. 2024 is going to be even crazier and busier and even more fun. Awesome.
Well, hey, D'Ana, Matt, thank you so much for having me, and everyone, thank you for joining in here before the holiday. And I look forward to seeing you next year at Inbound and actually meeting everyone in person, because I've met some of you.
Yeah.
Emerson, I see you.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate you coming in and sharing all that. Yes, I'm going to be putting some company icons up there with some company profile data. That was pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, take it. Enjoy it. I can't wait to see what you make. Thank you, Doug.
Love it. Ooh, super process rules in big blue.
Whoa. What? Don't change ecosystems. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say that or not.
Okay. So as we come to the end, and it is 1 o'clock, so we end, is just, I mean, Supered works on any platform, and it's built in a way it can work anywhere, any point, anytime. So if you have requests or you're in other places, just ask us so that we can, and you can affect what we're doing. We only build where our customers are and won't. So that's what you're asking. So D'Ana, thank you for everything. Scott, thank you. And I look forward to Scott having a submission in our 50K inbound competition. So
I got work to do for Christmas. Thank you.
Okay. Wait.
So I will see you at the next Surge, January 11th, 2024. Stay awesome. Stay supered.